Oh, thank God this nice weather is here and that cold ass weather is gone. Man, Luke, it's been so freaking cold for the last week. We already had we had that one freeze a few weeks ago, and this wasn't necessarily that bad, but just the fact it was just like low 30s throughout the entire week. I mean, man, I'm just glad that the nice weather is finally here.
Oh, and we actually had a little bit of snow
Yeah, I
in the
heard.
Austin area. Yeah, we had a little, if you could call it that. I wouldn't even say it was a dusting, but it was just kind of, I don't know. I'm a fan of the colder weather. I'd rather be cold than hot. So, but
Yeah,
it is what it is.
yeah,
It wasn't great
yeah, but
either way.
it's the same cycle every year though. We it's the hot weather. We like enjoy it for the first few weeks or so, and then it gets too damn hot, and then we're like, please let fall be here. If fall gets here, then that's where the weather comes. But it's nice. It's nice. It's chilly. Then it gets to the winter. Like then it gets too damn cold, and then we pray that spring comes. But that I guess we're just all a little bit bipolar on how we like our weather to be. But you know what this is? This is Sam Houston Sports Talk. That's Luke Scott.
Texas is the most bipolar
Yes,
weather state
yes.
ever.
You get
I mean,
tornadoes up in the north.
it was literally 60 degrees, and all of a sudden I look on the weather forecast, or 70 degrees. I look and I'm like, holy crap, it's fixing to get cold, in a couple of days, and then it turns really cold. But we had a fire. We had a fire at our
Oh
house
my gosh.
most nights, so it was good.
Yeah. Well, Luke, I'm fired up. I'll say that for one reason, but I'm not gonna. It does involve baseball a little bit, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait, Luke. I'm gonna wait till the end for that because I have some words to say about that. But to kick things off real quick, let's start with basketball. Men's basketball, Luke. They have turned it around. You and I were talking a little bit about their results over the last 7, 8 games or so, and you know some other things like having some players are stepping up. It's kind of like the next man up mentality that this team is having. And I mean, the latest guy being Eric Taylor, the freshman. He's been playing some good basketball off the bench, but overall, yeah, Lamar Wilkerson is still doing their thing, and the defense has been stepping up really well. The defense has really picked up as the season has gone on. Luke, I'm just saying right now, this might be a bold hot take. I mean, I wouldn't want to be any other team wanting to that has to face Sam Houston in the conference tournament because man, right now it just feels like we're playing with house money. We're not top team in the conference right now. We're not even top 4. We're playing with I think the guys are playing with house money and they're just going with everything they got right now.
Yeah, I think probably the team has been watching the standings and the rankings of the conference, and us kind of following. And I think there has been kind of a switch in philosophy. I think with this team, they've been much more aggressive. I think on the glass both ways. I think Sacco's really stepped up in the past few games, playing really good ball. Um, and they've kind of done it in some different ways. I mean, the last time out against Middle Tennessee, barely lost, but it was really Lamar Wilkerson, like you said, Eric Taylor. He had a good game. Cameron Hoofner, but then the game before that against Western Kentucky, largely did with our defense and in transition, and it was very much more of a balanced type attack. You saw guys up and down the lineup scoring double digits. So I think they're starting to figure it out, how to win with this team with the lack of depth as they have it. Having to rely on a lot of freshmen and new guys coming off the bench. And I think we definitely went through some growing pains there early and towards the middle of the conference season. But I think as of late, they've really stepped it up. I think they've really found of kind of what works for this team. I credit the players and I credit the coaching staff for kind of making adjustments here late. And you're right, Colin. I think we've definitely turned a corner. I don't know if it will translate completely into turning losses into wins um, towards the end and into the conference tournament. But I definitely think teams are starting to respect us a whole lot more from what they were.
Lamar Wilkerson, you mentioned him, one of 10 players in the country to score double digits in every single game this year. And we've been hearing NBA scouts have been going to games just to see Lamar Wilkerson. Um, I, I mean, he's just, dude, Shooter shoot. He's been doing his thing. He's still climbing up the Bearcat career points. He passed Gilberto Clavel, the hero, one of the best players from the 2010 tournament team. Passed him up 14th all time last week against Kennesaw State. Um, so Wilkerson is still doing his thing. Another guy that's really been stepping up, in my opinion, has been Brennan Burns. Again, a guy that's not going to light up the box score, but last week in that Jack State Kennesaw State 2-game home stretch, he made some big plays, especially late in that Jack State game. And that's kind of how it all started, really, Luke, is that win against Jack State, first place in the conference, coming off one of the best weeks in program's history, having a really good player on their own end, and then you almost blew it against Kennesaw State. Let's just be completely honest. You almost did, but you still come out with the
Yeah.
win. And then going into the EA Diddle Arena in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and absolutely mopping the floor against the defending Conference USA tournament champions. Man, oh man, like wow, is all I have to say.
Yeah, this team it's been very interesting because man, you look at the schedule and you look the way they've played, and you look at the record, right? Obviously, right now, 4-11 in conference, Colin, but these games are close games. I mean, really, they have been. And when you're looking at multiple overtime losses, I think there's been 3 overtime losses this year.
Yep.
Um, you know, 2 point, 4 point, inside 2 or 3 possessions. These games we've just been on kind of the wrong end of those early on. And I think lately, yeah, the Kennesaw State game got pretty ugly at the end, but grinding out a game against Jacksonville State, right? Beating West Kentucky there, in Bowling Green and barely losing to Middle Tennessee. And I think for a large part, um, I thought we played better in Middle Tennessee in spurts. I don't think we played our best, and definitely wasn't as good as we played against West Kentucky. But I think we were good enough to win that game, and it just came out on the bottom end of that. So a lot to take away from. Still much to improve, but it's definitely it's much easier to talk about, and for the guys actually playing, the athletes, when you get a couple wins under your belt, and breathe some confidence, that really does wonders, and especially on the road too, right?
Yeah. All it takes is one, is what someone told me. All it takes is one. Now it comes to the down to the final stretch. They finish the season at home. They're not going anywhere. 3 straight games. La Tech, UTEP, New Mexico State. We outlined this in our talks leading up to the season this year. When that schedule for the conference, Luke, was revealed, the one thing that caught my eye was that end of the season, ending your season 3 straight games at home. We didn't know how this team would be, but considering the depth that this team has right now, that is that is humongous. Because
Yeah.
you don't have to deal with the travel. You don't have to deal with the travel. Is basically what I'm getting at. And if you could go at least, if you go 2-1 at least, Luke, I'd be pretty happy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I see what you're saying. Um, I think 3-0 is definitely a possibility.
It is
I
indeed.
really think so. Um, I think the best team that we're playing there is what's going to be New Mexico State. I think in there at the very last game, if you can go, 2-0 in those first two, um, you know, coming off this road trip and having some success there, and going 2-0 last time, playing in Huntsville at the Coliseum. I think there's a real opportunity here to. I don't know if we can climb that many places. I think we could probably just climb one, maybe two, if I remember right, on the conference standings.
Yeah, we can be
Um,
seeds 7 to 10.
yeah. So I mean, if we can get to that seven, I'll take that. Um, I think there's real opportunity here, Colin. I really do.
I do as well. I mean, it's gonna be tough. Still, there's still 3 games to play before you go to Huntsville, Alabama. Um, but I will say though, it is really awesome to see how well this team has bounced back. Better late than never is what they always say, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And this is kind of the time, when you want to get hot. The teams that struggle throughout the year, but if they, pick up some momentum here at the end, I mean, look what UTEP did last year, right?
Mm.
Really struggled and got hot at the right time and upended our season and went all the way to the conference championship game in the tournament. Um, this is the time of the year where things get a little crazy. Into February, we're getting into March. Going into the tournament, anything can happen. So all you can ask for is to end the season on a good note and see where that can take you. And I think that can take you really far in college basketball. You just never know with these teams. It's the variance in games is just too great to be able to predict anything.
Let's stick to the hardwood as women's basketball. They looked like that they were turning the corner, but they did not. You know, win their last few games at home this season. They lost to Western Kentucky 57-45, and then they lost to Middle Tennessee. I'm trying to get the score here. It was 59-46.
59-46.
Yeah, and they won 2 games in a row. They won back-to-back games. They actually won 4 of their 5 games from February 1st to February 15th. Pretty handily in some cases, especially against FIU. The bad loss though against Liberty at home by 20. They beat Jack State, Kennesaw State, but they lose 2 in a row to Western Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. They finished their season 3 games on the road, so it's going to be a tough end for them. La Tech, UTEP, and New Mexico State. Still, for the offensive adjustments that Coach Justice has made, it seems like things are getting better on the defensive side. I noticed a bit of a trend, Luke. They get out to a big lead at first, but then it disappears so quickly. Like I,
Yeah.
I know it's the beginning of the game. I know there's still plenty of ball game left to go, but if you get off to such a good start, I think you should you know find a way to at least keep the lead and not let it go disappear within a few minutes.
Yes, too many times, where we start out the game all right, and then we look at halftime, and you compare the start of the game to where we are at halftime, and it's polar opposites. I mean, we started the game, I think it was against Middle Tennessee, or maybe it was the game before, on kind of a good run, and then we were down by double digits at halftime, and so it was just kind of one of those things where I don't know if teams making adjustments to us. And we're not able to figure it out or whatnot. And some of it just comes down to making shots. I think it's been a lot better recently than it has been,
Oh
but
yeah, absolutely.
like the last game against Middle Tennessee, 13 for 16 at the free throw line. Um, shot 5 for 16 from three, not great. Um,
I
I
think
don't
that
know, Colin. There's just
I think they should just abandon the 3 point shot completely, because you look at that 5 of 16 and you go to Western Kentucky, they went 0 for 12. Luke,
yeah,
that's 12, and that 12 not only represents the shots you attempted, that also it represents opportunities on possession that you wasted. Obviously, barring offensive rebounds and all that, but I think if they really truly want to succeed offensively, I think they still need to keep on attacking inside the 3 point arc. If you're wide open on the three, then fine, go ahead, shoot it. I shoot a wide open shot. If you think you can do it, do it. But 0 for 12 in a game is not a good look in my opinion.
yeah. I don't know if you can abandon the 3 point shot totally. Just because of how the game is played now and spacing wise on the court, I mean, you're gonna have to take some threes. But yeah, you look at on the men's side, St. John's, for example, they are an awful shooting team. They cannot shoot the three at all. I mean, really struggle from deep. But I think they're the number one or two rated team in the country in shooting two point shots. Whether it's getting at the rack, they shoot a lot of 12 to 15 footers. They shoot out a lot at the elbow, and they get it done. So I think if you can take some of that and maybe try to find ways to score other than under the basket or 3 point shot, um, they got to figure out something here because, yeah, like you said, I mean, they got three in the last game against Middle Tennessee, but Western Kentucky that's awful, right? 0 for 12. At some point, you'd think some coach or one of the players, a leader, someone's got to say, quit shooting the three. I mean, at some point, when you're playing junior basketball, you're in select or whatever, and you're whether it's the I don't know local youth like GYBA for us, Georgetown Youth Basketball, or if it was select, right when we were playing, our coaches told us you cannot shoot a three until you do a certain amount of things. Maybe we need to go back to that, Colin. Maybe we need to go back to when you're 13 years old, 12 years old, and some rules on the court because whatever's working is not working.
I mean, the thing is, there are players that are stepping up in the absence as well of Kayla Kelly. I mean,
Yeah,
if I were to guess, Luke, it's not looking good. I don't think she's going to be available for the rest of the year because I was there when she got hurt the first time against New Mexico State to begin the season. She was out for a while, then she comes back with the knee brace. And when she came back, she didn't seem like she was moving the way she was beforehand. And then gosh, I can't remember the game it was now, but she just fell down. Like she just fell down. She wasn't tripped up or anything. A week or so ago, it was either Jack State or Kennesaw State. Which no, not Jack State, Kennesaw State. It was the homestand before that. Either one. Yeah, it was the last homestand before this last one. Um, she just fell down, Luke. And when you're coming off of a what looked like a knee issue, if you just fall down and you can't get up on under your own power, that's not a good thing. In my experience, that kind of means that the knee gave out on its own.
yeah.
It's, I mean, I'm trying to stay optimistic, Luke. I really am, but I have a feeling she may not be back this year because of those two instances. The one where
Yeah.
she got it at the beginning of the conference play in New Mexico State, then coming back, and then that's happening. So, but you have players like Nyla Inman who's been stepping up, Inman, excuse me, who's been stepping up, and Infanta Kone who's been stepping up as well. So you're gonna have to rely on those two, that combo, to give you double-digit points every night. You just need the style of defense that Justice likes to run. It's gotta be almost damn near perfect. It feels like because if a team breaks away, you get the defender that's down the floor or two in a very awkward situation to where they're having to deal with a
Fast
charging
break.
basketball. Yeah, fast break. They have to deal with an awkward fast break, and 9 times out of 10, it feels like that the opposing team's offense is converting. So I mean, I don't know, but you never know what's gonna happen. You never know that they could not be playing their best offense yet, or they end up getting blown out in the first round of the tournament like last year.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, really, to be honest, if I could tell the coach, like, coach, maybe we try to run some sort of different defense out there. I mean, maybe not pressing and trapping is not. Maybe that's not the way to go. For what we are right now. I mean, I get in a perfect situation, you get to run it up and down the court and look like, Bob Huggins out there. But maybe that's not who we are. Maybe that's not who we are. Maybe we just make some adjustments. And I just don't think over the past few years we've seen this coaching staff be able to make those type of adjustments. And I know it's been a really rough few years. I think Bobby Williams, I think the president, I think a lot of people still believe in Raven Justice, but it's not been a good few years, and something's gonna have to change. Um, I don't know what, but I mean this is unsustainable.
Well, I do agree with the first part though. We have to wait and see. I mean, you never know. They could go on a good run in the conference tournament, but it just seems like there's certain intangibles that still need to happen for women's basketball in order to make a deep run. I mean,
Yeah, but
I,
I mean,
I feel like the pieces are there, if not all the pieces, but certain pieces are there that if you put them together correctly, you can make a run for your money.
yeah, maybe, but I mean, look at softball, right? Softball, it's been no secret that for the past few years it hasn't been great, but It looks like they're starting to turn it around right now, Colin. So maybe take some philosophy from the diamond over here to the hardwood,
Well,
maybe.
well, now that you mention it, let's go ahead and talk some softball. They had a good little fun weekend. I mean, they didn't start off really well. Last week didn't start really well. They were getting blown up by Texas State, but then that game got stopped when it was 7-1 or something like that. It will resume back up when Texas State comes to Huntsville on the 2nd of April. But they went to San Antonio for the UTSA tournament. They lost a close one to Omaha 4-2. Um, then I think another game got canceled, got rained out or something. Later on, I can't remember. But they had a fun Sunday, that's for sure. The pitching staff gave up no runs, and the offense, did just enough against Akron. Brody Quinlan hit a solo shot in the bottom of the sixth, won that one 1-0 against Akron. Go Zippers or Zips. Um, and then they went up against the host team, and it's always a good win, Luke, in my opinion, if you can beat the host team on their own home ground.
Mm.
And especially UTSA, they did not lose a home. They had not lost a home game. They're apparently tough to beat at home, but they dealt the hosts pretty handily, 5-0. And Abigail Young threw a complete game shutout, along in an Apke, I believe, threw a complete game shutout as well in the game before, or actually, Tiffany Sanchez, excuse me, was the winning pitcher in that one against Akron. Yep. Conference play starts this week, Luke. Before that, they have Lamar tomorrow. Well, maybe today by the time this podcast comes out. Or no, they don't. No, it's the next week. It's the next week because it's the Baylor Invitational, and then they start conference play. So you have Lamar on Tuesday, then you have North Texas on Friday, Cal Baptist, former WAC counterparts as well, and then you face Baylor, who were ranked at one point. I don't know if they're still ranked softball wise. I have to check at the latest rankings. I haven't had the chance to do that yet. And then you got two more games depending on how the other results of the game go, and then doubleheader against East Texas A&M, and then you start conference play the next week. But right now, Luke, you mentioned it. They're turning it around.
They are. They are. Morgan Holiday's playing good ball. Brody Quinlan, of course, she's really stepped it up this year. Bella Perez, um, a lot to mention that the pitching has been very good so far, Colin. Compared to what it was last year, it's the same, and two of the same culprits there in Young and Apke. But you've definitely seen the growth from last year being freshmen into this year. They've pitched very well. I just think their composure's been much better and situational in games, right? I think there was definitely a year of growth there, and I think they're definitely harvesting some of the fruits early on. It'll be interesting to see if we can continue that, into conference coming soon. Um, but coming up with this Baylor Invitational coming up, let's see, in a few days, Colin. If you can go 2-1 in that to start out with, and then obviously we'd face whoever we face later on, if possible. Um, I think Baylor will be a tough shout, but California Baptist, North Texas, I think those are two very winnable games, especially how we played, last time out on Sunday, yesterday. There's definitely uh, big possibilities for this team to go far in conference.
I think it also really helps when you have a pitching coach on staff, and Lexi Smith. She's been absolutely huge of a hire.
Yeah.
Um, it's she's also active on social media. That's also really great to see. She seems to be having a great time. Coaching the pitching staff at Sam Houston. But overall, when you have you know when you're head coach, Luke, there's like a whole bunch of things you have to do. I've heard sometimes, like, when you become a head coach, you're not really coaching anymore because you have so many other things to do. But when you have someone like Lexi Smith come in that can be like, "I got you, coach," on his pitching staff, I'll make it better. And not saying that's what actually happened, but I will say, Luke, she has made this pitching staff much better because the offense hasn't really been the offense was a question coming into this year, but I thought they would still be fine with the bats that were coming back and some of the how do you say it? Some of the recruits and transfers that were coming in, especially Bill Perez. It was just the pitching staff that really desperately needed to be there if the offense wasn't there. Because
Yeah.
there was many times last year where the offense wasn't there last year, and the pitching staff, even though that the pitching staff wasn't there, but the offense couldn't back up the pitching staff, or the pitching staff wasn't there, and the offense and or the pitching staff was there. It's just the offense, couldn't back them up. It's really how I see the game of softball and baseball is that if the pitching's not having a good day, it's up to the hitting to pick them up. If the hitting's not having a
Yeah.
good day, it's up to the pitching to pick them up.
Well, last year it was just so inconsistent, and I think on both ends, right? It was either pitching was great, like you said, or the batting was great. It was never both. And I think this year we've really stabilized being on the mound. I think they've really stabilized being in the circle. You're getting much more consistent results. The pitches are just a little bit more fine, and it's exactly what we had with our interview, right? Um, just very much more particular. They've been more consistent, thorough. The hitting still hasn't been as consistent as we'd like. But I think if you're able to stabilize one of those two, it's either your defense or your offense. We've stabilized the pitching. Now is when the batting needs to progress and get better. And I think that will come in time, obviously. But coming off back to back, shutout victories. In some of these games, it's been a struggle. I mean, we beat NIU 1-0, but then you turn around and played Louisiana, right, Raging Cajuns, and beat them. What was it, 8-1? I think it was. So I mean, it was a very good result there, but um, I think we're just trying to figure out that balance. And I think we've stabilized the pitching well enough to be able to say, okay, now we need to turn our heads to the batting, being in the box and really diagnosing what the problem is there.
Well, this year it's obviously the goal is to make the conference tournament, and honestly at this point I think they are. I believe they are going to make it. I really do. They're much better than
Yeah.
last year. Um, it's just gonna be up to like can they compete with the big dogs in the conference like Liberty. All right, sorry I had some adulting. So if you noticed a cut, well now you notice it because I just mentioned it. So but you know life after college, man, it's adulting's hard.
Brutal.
Brutal. All right, so let's get to the best part. Whoo, let's get to the best part, Luke. Oh man. Well, first of all, baseball loses their series against the New Jersey Institute of Technology. Go Highlanders. Out of the America East, for those that don't know, they lost their 3 game series. There was originally a 4 game series, Luke, with the doubleheader on Saturday, but due to the weather that we were blessed with, it was knocked down to just 1 game. It was knocked down to 1 game on Saturday, so it's a 3 game series. But they took the Friday night game, they took the Saturday morning game, and Sam Houston took the Sunday game, which I caught the end of because I was in Conroe doing some business, so I thought I just drive up to Huntsville. It wasn't too far away, about like 20 minutes away. Saw the last few innings, so it was cool to see the guys at least salvage a win against NJIT. I did it again, damn it, NGIT.
Colin, what's with? I mean, last year it was St. John's. This year, New Jersey Institute. What's
Nor-
up with these New York, New Jersey teams that we just can't
bro,
can't buy a win?
bro, I'm telling Northeast baseball is different, dude. I'm telling you, Northeast baseball is just you just don't really expect it to be good, but it's actually really decent. UConn's ranked this year. I mean, not a lot of people know that UConn's baseball is really good. St. John's is really good, and NJIT was in a regional not too long ago. But of course, with Sam Houston's history of winning, in you expect to win that series. I would have lived with that at least dropping a game, especially that Friday game because their Friday night guy, the Highlanders guy, is a draft guy according to some people I talked to who are familiar with the college baseball scene up in the Northeast. Um, but after the loss on Saturday, there was some buzz on social media and people calling for questioning Sirianni's job. Just and I'm not a big fan of that, Luke. I'm not a big fan of that at all. And I was the one that tweeted that it was certainly a choice to do such a thing 2 weeks into a season, and it's and I wish I added this, but I wanted to wait till the pod to do it. Luke, if you did any amount of research, which you and I did, you would have known right off the bat that this year was not going to be a typical year of Sam Houston baseball. You have 26 newcomers, only 4 returning pitchers. You really had to use the JUCO route, and it wasn't the fact that a lot of our guys got lost in the transfer portal or anything. It was just because of the draft. Uh, Walker Yannick, the catcher that we had for 3 years. I think Ty Johnny though is filling in that role just nicely. Is it the same offensive output as Yannick had? No, absolutely not. Um, I mean, even though Johnny's been really good, decently hitting wise, he's been really, really good defensively. Really, really good defensively.
Hmm.
And you gotta have Autry at first. That's a returner. But you lost the stalwart at second base, Easton Lloyd. Um, at shortstop, it's Jace Martinez, but he's not been healthy. He was supposed to play this weekend, but he got scratched on Saturday. So, uh, he was a late scratch in the Saturday game against Missouri State. He didn't look 100% on Sunday. Don't exactly know what it is, but something to keep an eye on for the rest of the way. You also lost Caleb Cotton for the rest of the year. That was your go-to leadoff man, your left fielder, center fielder, whatever you want him to be. So you lost speed and veteranship on that front. Blake Brown's still trying to mold into being a third baseman, which I think he's gotten better. Um, and then you look at the pitching staff once again. You lost Colton Atkinson to graduation. You lost Michael Watson to graduation, who then eventually got signed as an undrafted free agent to the St. Louis Cardinals. Logan Hewitt, he was transferring, give you that, but then he went to the Toronto Blue Jays on an undrafted free agent contract. And then a majority of the bullpen graduated. The only guys I can think of that are impact players, Jake Tatum and Malachi Lott, yeah, they transferred to Houston. I'm not too keen on looking up what they're up to. Last time I checked, they haven't been playing much. But Luke, when you carry so many seniors at one point, a year like this is probably going to happen, where you're going to have to really rely on the JUCO route, and that is a lot of players. Only 4 returning pitchers. I don't know if I said that or yet, but I just think it's so damn immature to call for a head coach's job, especially in baseball, mind you, 2 weeks into the season after he took you to a regional 2 years ago. And for those that want a 40-win, 50-win season, it's going to be harder now. Why? Because Conference USA baseball is not the Southland. It's not the WAC. It's different. It's much better because you have Liberty, Louisiana Tech, Dallas Baptist, Western Kentucky, and you got scrappy teams like Kennesaw State, and heck, even FIU are looking decent this year. I just can't get behind that, Luke. I think this year was destined to be a weird year in a not so good way. But you know what? It's fine because it's fine if people wanna if some people wanna like say that and like try to compare off seasons to different sports. That's totally fine with me. Um, I know where I stand on this, and that it's gonna be a not so fun weird year. It's definitely gonna be a year of silver linings. That's for sure.
Colin, I see a lot of what you're saying on social media. Fire Sirianni, thoughts on Sirianni. Colin, I agree with you, Colin. I think it's been a little. Oh, I said Colin way too much there. I think it is immature. From what this program has been and the results that they've gotten. For when was Sirianni here? When did he get here, Colin? 2000.
He got I 15 or he was definitely there though when they went to the Supers in 17. I'll say
Yeah,
that.
but like since 2020, this program has been very consistent, um, going through multiple different conferences. They have been very consistent, very good, putting
You,
major league
yeah,
talent out there. Colin,
absolutely.
having a bad season with all the turnover, dealing with the transfers and graduation. Colin, it's just like you said, it was bound to happen for a year, not to go according to plan, and dealing with some injuries already during the year. It was kind of doomed from the start. It kind of feels like, and I'm not saying that they can't turn it around. And I know your boys are Sirianni too, Colin. So I take that in consideration. Maybe a little bias coming from there, but
Oh yeah,
I
I'm biased. I mean, I've talked with Sirianni a couple times. You know, it's
friend of the program.
he yeah, he is. I mean, I've talked to him media wise. I've talked to him when the mics are off. You know, before a game. You know, he's a cool guy. He's a cool guy to talk to. But I'm not saying that from like I'm a Sirianni stan, I guess you can say.
That perspective.
I'm saying it from a pure sports baseball perspective. To
Yeah.
call for someone to say thoughts on on Sirianni as a head coach, so we could probably have or whatever. I just think that's crazy. I think that's ridiculous, honestly.
It's silly. It's silly. What other coach at this level is turning out multiple first round picks like we have?
The only
Yeah,
Texas
who
school
else is who else is doing that?
the
DBU.
the
That's it.
the only Texas school in the last 6 years to have multiple first round picks.
Sam Houston.
Yeah, and it's okay. Every program, one shape or another, goes through a year where it's gonna suck. But guess what? Embrace the suck. It is what it is,
You know what it could
from a
be?
fan perspective. I'm not saying the team is not good or anything. There are good pieces there. There's a lot of silver linings there that I think are going to be exciting for. You know, I hate to put it out like I'm already thinking about next year, but there are going to be some good pieces for next year. Right now, it's just give these guys an opportunity to give the coaching staff a reason to keep them on for next year because this team is going to look is going to look different from a pitching perspective next year because this is a whole puzzle that Sirianni is going to have to solve for this year, and if he can solve it at the right time, great. I think there's some good arms out of that pen. I think there's some good. I think Ryan Peterson is going to mold into a really good Friday night starter. Um, I really am excited about him. By the way, I do like what he brings to the table. It's just right now. It's just it's a whole puzzle, and it's and puzzles are either easy or hard. This is a very difficult puzzle that the coaching staff has to solve when it comes to the pitching staff.
For years, Sam Houston baseball has been the most stable um, program. You know what you're going to get. Super consistent. Very good. Right. For years, that's kind of what it's been. And I think this year, outside of football, volleyball not going great. Both men's and women's basketball not going
You
great.
could say volleyball went pretty all right
Yeah,
considering they missed the tournament last year and they got to the Conference USA tournament this
yeah,
year. I'd say it's
yeah. But
successful.
but men's and women's basketball not being great. I think there's just kind of been maybe a built up angst there from fans, and I think they're kind of taking it out on Sirianni, saying, "Well, you've been our best program for years now. Um, most consistent. What the heck? I think that's kind of what it's boiling down to. I think that it's that build up from other teams maybe not doing as well um, as we think they could have, but I think you're right. This was bound to happen. A rebuilding year, everyone goes through it. The best programs go through it. All the way at the top. Who's number one right now?
A&M, of course.
They have been. they have had rebuilding years in the past. So has Texas. So has LSU. So has, every big team has these years where they just have a lot of turnover and they have to figure it out. And maybe it hasn't been great to start out this year, but who says they can't turn it around? Well, I know we have the coaching staff, and I think we have enough players and enough talent to turn it around to conference season. It's no, we know it has been pretty so far, um, but just give them some time. Just give them some time and bank on your most successful team. Um, you know, have success. Just let them cook. Let them cook.
Yeah, that's yeah for real. Let him cook. Let Sirianni cook, and let's see what he can cook up, man. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way because that just rubbed me the wrong way a little bit, as you can probably already tell now, Luke. It rubbed me really wrong. Um,
I can tell.
I don't. I kind of grew out of that phase as a sports fan where fire his ass, fire him, fire everybody. I mean, now I wait to like things gather up. Because it just felt like such a knee jerk reaction. I mean,
Mm.
is it NJIT? Yes, I understand that. We lost that series, absolutely. That did happen. Oh well, you move on.
I can take this though, Colin. The Frisco Classic is not as nearly as appealing as we were hoping as it was going to be at the start of the year.
Yeah, yeah, good point. But they have one more game before that to try to maybe build some momentum against the Houston Cougars for the game one of the Don Sanders Cup Series on Tuesday in Houston. They can do something there, get some momentum going into next year, going into the Frisco Classic. Excuse me. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Stay competitive.
I agree.
Stay competitive. All right, that'll do it for us here at Sammy Sports Talk. Whew, what a way to end it. Oh, I'm fired up right now. I'm about to go lift some
And
mountains.
Colin, you know what it is with this bit with the team? There's just too many so far. There's been too many blow up innings where other teams like Missouri State and NJIT
Yeah,
are scoring five, 4 runs
in
in a
one
single
inning.
inning.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's really what's really ballooned some of these scores up.
I think you just skip past the first 3 innings. I think the team will be fine.
Yeah,
I think that's what
yeah, I
it,
agree.
I think that's what it's going to come down to. But
Yeah,
anyway, that'll do it for us here. That was Luke Scott. I'm calling Neil. This has been Sam Houston Sports Talk. As always, eat 'em up, cats. And hey, if you're at Sam Houston, hey, these last 3 games for men's basketball are going to be really fun because you got La Tech, New Mexico State, UTEP coming in. You got Hooten coming back for the last game of the season. For this year against Sam Houston. It's gonna be fun. And if you can go to any Sam Houston sporting event, if you're still in Huntsville, go out there. Hey, it's free. Seriously, we've been there, done that as alumni. Go have some fun. And but yeah, as always, man, cats. What are you looking for? What were you looking for?
I thought I heard something, but it was nothing.
You probably hear the puppies. So
Maybe.
yeah, maybe. But eat 'em up, cats. See you next time.
Cats.